There's been times in my life where like, oh, maybe I'd start going to some form of church or temple or something, just to be safe.
Возможно, мы все не так поняли.
Would we try to? Yeah, I suppose we would be trying to document it.
Without a doubt.
Yeah. If for no other reason, then you could tell people and they wouldn't think like, oh, maybe you had a psychotic break.
Yeah.
But no, I have the footage.
Yeah. Oh, I was just gonna to say that we would absolutely have to film it. Although I think it's also a little bit macho for us to assume we wouldn't at least initially be absolutely terrified. But then after that, filming would happen. So it's probably the events of the movie. This is my dog, Rooster. He comes to work with me because he's not yet potty trained. A piece of the spark of it was about what the X-Files would look like if you did it nowadays. Some kind of, a interdimensional sort of view of the what's out there feels like something that has come into focus more and more, especially with things like UFOs. So the X-Files was a huge touch point for both of us. And I think we even shot a scene that references it. And then I'll keep it brief because I know you have to translate it, is there's also a book called House of Leaves by Mark Danielewski. And that's been hugely inspirational on all of our work. It's about a house that's bigger on the inside than it is on the outside and takes a very steely-eyed view of what it would look like if we just released footage of that to the world, as if the Blair Witch Project was a real thing. So you've entered into some very interesting territory for us, because we very deliberately designed these characters to be extraordinarily different from ourselves, and almost nothing that comes out of their mouths is something that we personally truly believe. Sometimes things we think are interesting to explore comes out, but they're deliberately not opposites, but just completely different. They approach the world from very different viewpoints from us, except for the fact that I think that there's very curious people. And then what's funny is we've kind of undercut ourselves a little bit in trying to make ourselves so different from these characters by giving them our childhoods, because we used our actual childhood footage. And it was something that came out because we found our childhood footage, and we found it so compelling as for how it could end up coincidentally at the time relating to how our characters view the world.
Что мы наделали?
And so they do have our childhoods. That is actually me interrogating a poor NASA employee. That is actually Justin wearing the same costume that his character is wearing. But then it's kind of like at that point they then split off and went and did completely different things than ourselves. Yes, in terms of some of the things that the characters say about Los Angeles and about their curiosity in the world, I would say that's what we have most strongly in common. And then the rest is, I hope that nobody thinks that we are like those people in real life.
Мы ведь живем не в каком-нибудь опасном и неизученном месте.
My first piece of advice is don't pitch your first film. I think that implies that you're going outside of the...
Ты же не думаешь, что все это знаки, и они как-то связаны с тем, чем мы занимаемся?
And I think your first film is one in which you are looking at the resources that you already have that you don't need to pitch for, and you are including like a very small amount of money maybe in your bank account, or that you could borrow from somebody, and your friends that you make movies with. Do you have your phone? Yeah, we have a slogan at our company, which is "Make movies with friends," and we really believe that. That's what this movie was for us. This is chaos. I love this.
Мы попробуем найти доказательства сверхъестественного.
That isn't just for your first movie. That was what we did here with our fifth movie as well. And you should just be looking at the resource that you have and looking at the things that you find interesting and trying to marry those two things together, so that you don't have to pitch your first film. You actually you're able to just go and make it.
I still have imposter syndrome, for sure. Decisions to have me screenwrite. It's never really conscious, not really a conscious decision. I don't know, why am I, I don't know why I'm writing scripts.
Because you're one of the best writers in the world. That's why.
Yeah, I don't know. You know, out the gate, the reason why it went that way was because
Этому можно дать и научное объяснение, хотя это не имеет значения.
when essentially we just had those scripts, Resolution and Spring. Well, Resolution specifically was already it was written for things we already had access to, and it was done and ready to go. Spring was kind of like that, except we didn't actually have access to any of those things in Spring. It was, in fact, a completely crazy idea to try to do that movie. And then it turned out, oddly enough, the universe works in strange ways. Turned out the location did exist in a place that really wanted us to come shoot there. It was very bizarre.
Yeah.
But imposter syndrome, yeah, I mean, like most of the day. Most of the day, every day.
There's also the more that you work in the industry, you realize that everyone's an imposter. Like, not everyone has imposter syndrome. Like, everyone around you is an imposter. It's like we're all just doing our absolute best. But that's about it. There's very few geniuses.
Нужно заснять это на видео, иначе никто нам не поверит.
Ethan Hawke. Yeah, he's a genius. And what makes him a genius isn't that he's hard to talk to and he operates on another level. It's that he's actually also incredibly human and somehow is able to connect to everybody immediately on a highly emotional level, and yet also is one of the most accomplished and well-read people. He will change your life every time you get to hang out with him.
And Alan Moore's like, yeah, you read Watchmen and you can't believe what you just read. You're like crying, and it also tickles you on an intellectual level simultaneously.
Yeah,
it says something profound about the past, present, and future of humanity.
В это сложно поверить, но это случилось на самом деле.
Мы попробуем найти доказательства сверхъестественного.
Ложь вместо правды. Сверхъестественное. Знаки.
Ничто на свете не стоит таких жертв.